Hey everybody, I'm Jared, and today we're going to be taking a look at the entire LaCroix lineup. This is a lot of different flavors. As you can see, they don't even fit on my table. It is too small. There are 14 flavors in total. Peach pear. This one's one of their newest ones, just came out this year. Hibiscus. We've got cran raspberry, tangerine, classic orange, coconut, pamplemousse, berry, mango, classic lemon, passion fruit, key lime, classic lime, and apricot. So if you watched my last video where I reviewed a whole bunch of different brands of sparkling water, this one's going to go a little bit differently. These are all from the same brand, so things like the bubble, the can, these things are not going to matter nearly as much because they should be the same across the entire field. The only thing we're going to be talking about today is the flavor. So what's important in a sparkling water flavor? Is the flavor good, first off? Is the flavor true to what it is supposed to be? We want a light flavor that is evocative of what it is actually trying to be. Then I'm going to order them. And my personal preferences, what I think are the strongest flavors versus what I think are the weakest flavors. So if you follow me anywhere else, you know that I'm a big LaCroix fan. I drink LaCroix almost every day. I've tried every single one of these flavors before, so you might be familiar with some of my feelings towards this. I'm not going to have any of those older reviews have any bearing on this current one today. We're going to come in fresh and really do a comparison of them to one another. So without further ado, let's go ahead and crack these open and give them a try. So I'm going to take these in no particular order. The only thing that I'm going to adjust a little bit is I'm going to try similar flavors like key lime and lime together, one after another, so I can get a very confident feel in how they're different and what makes one better than the other. So first off, I'm going to start with apricot. It's just the first one in my pile. So first up is apricot. I would say it's not super close to what biting into an actual apricot is going to taste like. It has a bit of a citrusy note that a lot of these are going to have, and that's not something that I think most people would expect if they were to actually get a real apricot. I would call this a shade away from orange. It's not super unique. It definitely has a nice fruity flavor, but it's pretty tropical. It's not what I would expect from an apricot. Next, I'm going to go to coconut. So coconut is one of the strongest flavors that LaCroix has. It tastes like a pina colada. It has that very classic coconut syrup sort of taste. I'm not super sure if that's really what coconut actually tastes like, but it's what a lot of people have come to expect coconut to taste like, especially in a drink. But I will say it's a little bit strong for me to drink every single day. It has a very, very sweet taste. So I'm going to put this one after apricot. Apricot has that nice solid citrusy flavor, even though it is an apricot. It's non-offensive, but just still really good, whereas the coconut is overpowering. I think I would get tired of it. So back into fruit. Let's try out the classic lime flavor. I really like their take on classic lime. It's super citrusy, and it's really what you expect lime to taste like. It's certainly not like taking a bite out of a real lime, and I don't think anybody really wants that, but it's super evocative of the actual flavor of lime. Lime is probably one of the simpler flavors to copy, but it's a staple. It's very solid. I think it's going to move into the first place for us here. So next up, after trying the classic lime, is the key lime flavor. So the thing that I love about the key lime flavor is it actually feels like it has a little bit of body to it. This one doesn't taste just like you're drinking water. It tastes more like a juice, or feels more like a juice in your mouth. The key lime is super great to me. It's a standout of a really strong flavor in a sparkling water done very well. So this one's going to overpass the classic lime, so it's going to move right into the front. So let's move into passion fruit. This is a very strong, very popular LaCroix. I will admit I forgot to put this one in the fridge, so it is room temperature, but I've had it many times before. I love passion fruit. So passion fruit, I think, is sweetness done right in comparison to the coconut. I think this is a lot of people's favorite because it still has that very baseline tropicalness, that citrusy, which almost every LaCroix is going to have, but it does it in a very sweet way and also keeps it subtle and not overpowering. For me, this one is better than the classic lime. I could drink this all the time. That sweetness is really nice, but the key lime is just something a little bit more added to it that keeps it a bit ahead. Now we've already done classic lime, and now let's try the classic lemon flavor. This is really great. I would say it's not as true to life as the lime is. This and the passion fruit, the sweetness level are very similar. That sweetness kind of takes away from the lemon. It's trying to go closer to lemonade, in my opinion, than it is to go to true lemon. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. But for me personally, I prefer that lime flavor that's super, super close. But I still think it's better than apricot. I'm getting a lot of lemon from it. All right. Next up is mango. Yeah, so I really like the flavor of this. I will say it is not super close to what mango actually tastes like. I've tried sparkling waters, different brands that do mango in a way that is very similar to the way that mango actually tastes. And LaCroix I don't think they're actually trying to do that. They're trying to evoke mango without really going there. This definitely has much more of a citrusy flavor than mango actually has, which is sort of the signature of a LaCroix water, is that underlying citrus flavor. But when you really want to taste mango, this is not what you're going for. I will say the sweetness level of this is actually a little bit lower than the lemon, which I think does it some favors, but overall the flavor is just not really there. It's a very citrusy flavor, which is not what you really expect. So this is going to fall in between the lemon and the lime for me. This is closer to what the apricot is like. I like the flavor a bit more. I'm definitely a big mango fan. I think it lends itself more to having sort of those citrus influences, whereas an apricot does not lend itself in that direction. So it's an easier flavor for LaCroix to do wrong and still get right. The next one we have is berry. So the interesting thing about berry is they call it berry for a reason. They're trying to go for some sort of berry mixture where it doesn't hit super hard on any one berry, but has that sort of tart sweetness that you get a lot from blueberries and blackberries. I really like this. I think not naming it specifically does it a lot of favors. You don't go in with quite as many expectations that can go wrong. I think this one does something a little bit different than the rest of these that we've tried so far. It goes for more of a tart than that sort of almost sour citrusy flavor, which I think is really good. And it definitely sets it apart from the rest of the waters in this lineup. I'm going to put this ahead of the mango and after the lime. I think that lime is just really too classic to pass up, but this one's very unique flavor compared to the rest of the lineup puts it very high in my book. So the next one up is pamplemousse, which if you follow me anywhere else, you'll know that I've called this the king of LaCroix flavors before, so let's see if it holds up. So this one is really close to true grapefruit flavor. And I'm honestly not a huge grapefruit fan, and I think it tones down all of the things that I think are not the best about grapefruit. It's not super tart or sour. It's still very easy to drink, but actually has a very distinct grapefruit flavor. Pamplemousse means grapefruit, in case you did not know. I think this is a good example of that base citrus flavor done really well and in an interesting way that is not just a version of lime or lemon. So this one for me is going to go in second place. It still doesn't have that same body and richness of flavor that the key lime does that just really sets that one apart, but it's certainly a better take than the passion fruit is. Very evocative of the actual thing that it is supposed to be, and all around really great. So next up we have cran raspberry, which unlike this generic berry is telling us the two different types of berry that we should be expecting. So let's go ahead and give it a try. I like this one a whole lot. It's certainly heavy on the cran side of the berry and the flavor, but the raspberry I think is supposed to just be the slight sweetness of flavor that is added to the cranberry. Overall, this one is really good. I don't think it passes our previous berry, which had that very interesting take on what berry flavor is, but I do think it's going to pass mango for me. It's much closer to life. The sweetness is really good, but it's balanced out with that underlying sort of tart flavor. All right, and for our 11th, we have peach pear. Let's give it a go. This one has a very strong pear flavor. I would definitely, I think if I were going to name it, just call it pear. The peach maybe hits a little bit in the front of the taste, but the pear is almost all of what you're getting. Overall, it's got a very sweet, but sort of mild compared to maybe like the cranberry flavor. And I think once again, this one's going to fall above the mango for me. It's very solid, and it definitely has that pear flavor. So we've only got 3 left. I'm going to start with the hibiscus for number 12. This one is one of the newer flavors. It came out in, I think, May of this year. Very interesting to see a floral flavor that totally breaks with the fruit theme, besides coconut, of all of the other ones. So let's give it a go. So, right out the gate, you do get this kind of nice floral flavor that's very light, and then immediately after that, you are hit with a ton of sweetness. I'm not actually quite sure how they get this to be so dang sweet. It surpasses even the coconut sort of pina colada syrupy sweetness, and it sort of has an underlying apple taste. That's probably, if I had to guess, the flavor that they based it off of, but it does have that nice floral overtone. This one, I will say, it's not my favorite. It's too sweet for me. It's not something I could drink all the time. I think it would get old. It falls sort of in that coconut category, but I definitely like it more as a flavor. I think this one's gonna go in between lemon and apricot for me. Remember that apricot just didn't have much appeal to it. There wasn't much actually about it, and the coconut is really overpowering. For number 13, we have the classic orange flavor. Let's give it a go. So the LaCroix orange is trying to be much more of an orange flavoring. I would definitely call this closer to an orange soda sort of flavor than what an actual orange tastes like, which isn't bad. If you like orange soda especially, this is a very good flavor. It's a bit much for me, I think. I would want something a bit more in the range of what an actual orange tastes like, maybe toned this down a little bit. It's pretty simplistic. It really, you get the taste at the front and it doesn't last very long, but overall it's not bad. I'm going to put this one after lemon for me, but I don't think it holds up to that true to life, and it's a little bit stronger, which I personally dislike. All right, and for our last LaCroix water, we have tangerine. I think this is a poetic one to go last. My grocery store does not sell this LaCroix flavor, so I actually had to drive around and find one that did sell this. I did not even know that it was a flavor until I checked their website to see what their whole flavor catalog was for the idea of this video. I also wanted to follow it up after orange, given that tangerine is sort of in that same family. So this definitely takes that base orange flavor and steps it up and actually gets really close to what I think tangerine is supposed to taste like. The flavor profile is super similar, but with more of a tart front than what the orange has. It's certainly a lot stronger even than the orange, which I even said was a bit strong, but it doesn't have the same sort of orange soda-y taste. It's a bit more unique than that. Tangerine is not a very common fake flavor. They had to go more towards what an actual tangerine tastes like, which I think suited them very well. I think for that reason, it's going to go above the classic orange for me. I think they did improve upon it with this one. Overall, it's very good, if albeit a little bit strong. So this one's gonna go in between the lemon and the orange. So there you have it. All 14 flavors of LaCroix tasted and ordered by my own preference in what I think is both a good, solid flavor that you can drink every day, and a flavor that is true to what it is trying to actually taste like, which I think is really important, especially for newcomers. When you pick something up, you have an expectation going in of what it's going to taste like, and if it really parts from that, sometimes you'll like it, but for the most part, that is typically not a good thing. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was either entertaining or helped you see what they were all like compared to one another. Let me know what you would like me to do next, and I'll see you next time.